Well, I made another thing that I needed because I'm tired of holding my jigsaw in my lap upside down for more precise cuts or whatever. Just, I don't have a regular saw, or I don't have the right tools I need, so gotta do what I gotta do. Right now I've got a blade in there backwards so that I could use this as like a table. And this is like a little hacksaw blade actually that I modified and cut down to fit here. It's the only I don't have the money to get metal cutting blades, so this was the only metal cutting blade I had, and so I modified it to be in this power tool because I'm weak and tired and my hands hurt. Anyways, that sucks. I've been thinking about mounting that upside down on a table or a platform for a while. And then I went to use my sewing machine that was given to me for the first time, and it jammed up and it's a piece of crap. And it's harder to use than the industrial ones I've used before for some reason. I don't know why. It's weak. It jams up so easily. It's so weak. So I thought I'd modify it and use this to make the tool. So to reduce, because I already knew this shitty little motor was weak. I just kind of knew that for a fact. Just I fooled with enough electric motors, and trying to use this thing as a sewing machine at first, I was like, that's a weak motor. So, anyways, I eliminated 99% of the drivetrain that I could, most of it, just to reduce drag, because the rest of it was kind of useless for what I want to do. I just want it to make an oscillation motion, an up and down motion. So I eliminated all of it, which was kind of difficult. I had to break some stuff. I don't think I broke anything on the thing to do it. It was other connecting pieces. And then because I was too lazy to unbolt this whenever I was cutting this bit here, its shaft was down a little lower. I was too lazy to unbolt it because that took me forever to get that like aligned, because everything was like all annoying, and yeah, I wanted to do this the simplest way I could. So I just bolted this on, and I didn't have like perfect, because this top hole is a bigger hole than this small hole, and I didn't have the perfect size fasteners or whatever, and I needed to be able to clamp this and hold it, which I had to wind up putting a washer there because it was warping this hole a little bit, because the spacing was a little off, because this was originally designed to pivot, right, for the sewing needle to move its position. Well, I wanted to lock it in place, right, simple enough, just tighten it, and if that ever became an issue, this does have like a hole here, and I can just make a bracket that comes out here and then wraps around, and that really it won't be able to rotate if that's ever an issue. But I just clamped it basically really tight, nut and a bolt on each end, and to give me more room so I could slip this up, because this is the same connector that held the needle, same piece that held the needle, and instead of the slot being halfway through the shaft, because originally this slot that was already here, about the same length, it only went depth-wise into the shaft about halfway or a little over halfway. It didn't come out the other side, like it wasn't a through slot, right? Well, that's all I had to do was just get the angle grinder out with a thin disc and make it a through slot. And these blades happen to be the perfect. I didn't have to do anything to the blades or modify this. It's just that worked out. That was the simplest part of this whole thing, was just attaching a blade. Just had to make sure that slot was all the way through so the blade could fit through there. I do want to change this piece and make it to where it kind of is at least twice as high, just to try and eliminate some of that wobble. Well, it doesn't wobble right now when you tighten it, but it does, like, see, I can do that. But once it's backed, it's backed. It ain't going anywhere. But, like, I don't like that, and that's not great. So I'm going to eliminate that eventually. But, yeah, oh, and the depth of these is minor. It's nothing. Like, over here, it's kind of nothing. I noticed it was cutting in over here, and so that's when I just brung the angle grinder and just kind of leaned in this way, because if it chops this off, that's useless anyways. It's nothing. I didn't care. I just didn't want it chopping in and coming over here to this bolt. So it's a little tiny. Like, there's a lot of useless material, excess stuff on here, but I mean, this is a big thing. Anyways, it works. Conceptually, it works. It grabs because it doesn't have enough torque, so it just grabs, right? And lifts the whole bit up. So what I want to do is put more torque on this. I need to either change the gear ratio or get a new motor. Because it's just that little shit motor. It's a belt drive, and yeah, I can put a bigger pulley here, modify this, or just get a freaking better motor. I might even have a better motor. I'm not sure. I'd have to look around. But yeah, basically this works. I might wind up, I don't know. It might help me if I wind up just flipping the blade around. I don't know that I have the room. I might have the room, because you see that much of the blade, which is, what is that? About 2 teeth of the blade. Let's see, is that all the way? Okay. That's up as high as it can go. So what is that? That's still almost right at 2 teeth are staying under there. So I have that much room. If I flip it around, I'd have to barely hold on to it by about that much. So this wouldn't be all the way up in here, I don't think. I'm not sure. I'll flip it around eventually and give it a test like that and see, because it's pulling the material up right now, right? And with it being a weak motor and not being able to really just slice through, it's kind of annoying, because as soon as it grabs, it wants to pull the material up, and as soon as I push back down, because it's not like a strong pulling force. Like if it was moving fast enough and had enough torque, it wouldn't be a problem. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna reverse the blade, just put them in backwards. Not a big deal. Like because of the size of everything, it fits in just fine. Anyways, just making sure I have to where the flats aren't going to affect anything. There's not a lot of cutting room here to begin with, but about as much as you would with a regular jigsaw, honestly. Like, that's just a jigsaw blade. So, I mean, anything you could cut with a jigsaw, you could cut with this. And right now I've got the blade in sideways, and I plan to make like little notches so that I can easily rotate it and have it to where I can do small stuff like from here. You know, obviously that you're limited this way. That's why I chose to mount it this way. But sometimes having it like this might be useful, just for more table space and whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It works. It's got some kinks. Needs a stronger motor. I need to flip the blade around, because when you think about it anyways, on a jigsaw, it's pulling the material up against the flat plate, the bottom of the jigsaw, right? It helps it cut. So it's the other way around here. The flat plate is down here. So yeah, maybe reversing the blade or just picking different blades. Obviously this is a very aggressive cut blade, so maybe that's not the best blade for this. Maybe keeping some just bimetal blades only, you know, stuff that can cut wood and metal both. It's not too aggressive, so it doesn't really matter, you know, which way I place it. The fact where the plate's at, you know, whether it's above it or below it. So that might be the best way to go, is whenever I put aggressive ones like this in them, just put them in upside down. And then, yeah, for the most part, just run non-aggressive cutting blades. Fast cut, you know, they've got an aggressive tooth. They were cheap. I don't know why these fast cut ones are cheaper than anything. I guess because they're sloppy, you know. They just kind of rip their way through things and just splinter everything up. Maybe that's why they're cheaper, because they're easier to make. I don't know. But it works. I'm quite happy with the fact that it actually works, which I knew it would. It's nothing to it. It's just a motor on a pulley with what does not have to be a camshaft, but is clearly... This thing uses borderline automotive parts, which is weird. But yeah, it could have just been a straight shaft coming off of that pulley going to this, and then that's where your offsets get done, is here. So this one, oh, let me get my fingers in there. So this one is set screwed with a sideways set screw right there. So it's got a shaft that goes in there, and it's set in there on this part. So this part does not rotate. It stays in its orientation with this center shaft. This part does rotate on its little shaft there. And then this part does not rotate with this, but this does rotate with that, and then so on. And this part's just like a hinged, not quite a universal joint, but similar to how there's a slot here. Same thing there, and then like a little piece on it, and it just kind of floats in there. And then this is set. I'm gonna change out this set screw to something I can tighten down more sturdy. And like I said, I'm gonna grind like a little flat, little tiny flat for it to a locator, because this was never designed to be used like this, and I want it to be a little more sturdy on the, because this could easily twist on me if I'm trying to do actual scroll saw stuff. That might twist or slip eventually, and I don't want that. And yeah, so yeah, it's just simple, you know. Every time I think about this sort of drivetrain, I always picture trains, like old trains. You know, the locomotives with the woo woo and the wheel and the arm. That's where I first started to understand and learn about this style of drivetrain, was just looking at trains and things. I'm not even a train person. It's just that's where I saw this sort of mechanical way of moving things first, and it's always what I think about whenever I'm looking at this. And obviously, I wanted to eliminate this and change the throw, which I still might someday, but for now it was easiest just to keep that, and I'm only getting like an inch of throw. Yeah, something like an inch of throw, which is enough. It's technically enough. I don't like it. I want a little more throw than that. Maybe like a half inch more. Just because it would cut better, I think, if I can get some more throw out of it, and I'd use more of the blade and wear out the whole blade consistently. But it is what it is. If I get some more, like, I have a little room to get more throw. Like, let's see. Yeah, you see, I can lower down the collar that holds the blade and everything, and lower the blade and all that. I have room for like maybe a half inch, maybe a little less than a half inch of throw extra. I just don't have a longer rod. So I was going to eliminate that and just do my attachment point from here for the throw, but there's walls that I'd have to cut out, because if I just do it from there, then my arm needs more room for the swing and whatnot for the throw. I think that's what I came to the conclusion. Oh yeah, because it's like on a little nub way out off the center, off the outer edge. So it made it kind of annoying because of the way the inside of this little thing, the parts that stick out in here are designed. And I'd have to do extra modifications and shit. And so the easiest way was just to use the arm it came with. Maybe one of these days cut this arm itself and extend that, which I think will be fine, and I won't have to worry about it running into anything, because it's like, you know, it's closer inward. Its pivot point is not way out here, right? Its pivot point is not way out here. It's more inward, right? And it's locked to that position. So I don't have to worry about like it swinging around and knocking anything like down there. Like I was having issues before when I was mocking up and thinking about making it, you know, swing better. There were instances where I would have had to cut away some stuff. If I make it mount right where this hole already is behind my finger there, it just wouldn't work as good. Because it'd be longer, therefore this would be lower down, and yeah, it would be knocking on some things. So not ideal. So, however, like I said, if I once I get new weld and wire and stuff, and this appears to be machined, so a lot of this is freaking cast. Even this freaking connecting rod, that's cast. Like I absolutely hate cast material myself. I just fucking hate it. But yeah, I can just extend that by like, I don't know, maybe a quarter of an inch. We'll have to figure out exactly what I can get away with and what I feel like, because I do want to make sure the blade is held in good, and I want to make a slightly wider thing for that as well. So we'll see what I can get away with whenever I get around to doing that. But I do want to give myself some more throw. And who knows, maybe I can move the position of this and just eliminate this cast piece completely and make something else. it actually has bushings or something in it. Right now it's just metal on metal. You can see I modified this shaft. I took a file to the insides of these. I happen to have little tiny files. I have half round little ones that fit that diameter pretty good. I have a regular round one, which is what I primarily used because it cut better than the half round one. The half round one seems to be a piece of shit. Cheap $5 pack of files. Some of them actually cut good, some of them don't. They're hit and miss. One of them broke on me right out of the pack. Like, this flat one does not cut very good at all, but I use it here and there. The round one and the square one and the triangle one cut pretty good. The half round one sucks. There's another flat one that's a different coarseness. It sucked. That's the one that broke on me, the other flat one, I think. And it's the one with the point on it. The half round one has a point as well, but either way, cheap Walmart set of files. Just needed some and got some cheap ones. Don't really recommend them, but some of them work here and there. I've been using them, so whatever. Kit Kat, don't sniff the light bulb. It might be LED, but it still gets hot. The aluminum part at the bottom. Yeah, I've got like a homemade little lamp. It's one of those light bulb sockets that just plugs in. Technically, it's legal. It's not like because I'm in an apartment, right? So I didn't just rig something up. That's just a cord powering my random tools. And then the light over there, it's all just zip ties, and that's a paper towel holder with some worn out tires around it for weight and a stick zip tied to the paper towel holder. That's one of the metal paper towel holders, just a little thin wire. That's why I have the weight there and whatnot. But yeah, and this my baby. She's just curious as to what's going on. Oh yeah, I never talked about what I'm probably gonna change this out because honestly, like, it's okay, Kit Kat. Sorry. Honestly, like, I don't need the potential. I don't need the play. Like, this is 1,000 watt. This thing uses like, I think it was like less than 100 watts. I can't remember. It's a weak fucking motor. This might be adequate whenever I upgrade the motor, or if I upgrade the motor and not just the pulley. But this is 1,000 watts. It does the job. It does the variation. Now that the cat's jumped down, because of the type of motor, it takes it a minute to get going because it's not designed for this kind of. But the potentiometer and the foot pedal system it had before was just terrible. I hated it. So I happen to have this old thing laying around from another project years ago. Yeah, I've been holding onto that $30 dimmer switch for years. I bought it to run a heating element, actually, to vary the temperature on a regular heating element for like a hot water heater. And it worked. My problem with that system was that I bought a 1,000-watt heating element. I knew less about electricity back then than I do now. So this is a 1,000-watt dimmer switch. What I should have done is bought like 750 watts or less of a heating element, and then those two things would have been mated just fine. But no, where it was a 1,000-watt heating element, that was maxing out the capacity of this, and this was getting hot. So I couldn't continue that project unless I bought another one of these or a smaller heating element. But yeah, you can like make a homemade little portable water heater tank thing for like a 5-gallon bucket with like a variable temperature. Just get a fish tank water temperature thing, a little digital readout, or just a regular, just stick it down in the water, old school readout. And one of these, and then a 1,000-watt heating element. And just as long as you install the heating element correctly with like the rubber and whatnot so that it doesn't leak into either the lid or the bottom or the side at the bottom or somewhere, and make sure you have like enough of a heat shield if you're using a plastic bucket, or make a strut that goes across somewhere. And either way, I had ideas and had a whole design going on for my application, and it would have worked. Except that this was undersized for that heating element, and the heating element was just, they were equally matched, and that wasn't right. But yeah, I still want to do that someday. But like, honestly, nowadays I like instant water heaters more. So if I do something like that, I'm gonna have to design an instant water heater, like a tankless, basically. I have designs for that as well in my head. It's weird, I have so many designs for things. Like, I even have designs for an electric turbine engine. Like, just without... I haven't looked up any designs, anyone else's turbine engines, electric ones, but like, I have a pretty good design floating around in my head. I just don't have the money to start prototyping. Either way, that works, and that's enough throw to get away with, to actually use. I just should probably switch the blade around and see if it does any better with this weak motor, and if it does, I'll procrastinate further working on it and just use it until it becomes more of a headache, and then I'll just probably rig up, or, well, actually that's solid. So what I'll probably do is cut a groove in this to fit that belt, and that'll change my gear ratio pretty good. Well, actually, I might have to, if I do that, get a different belt or make a new belt, but that's no problem. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to show this. It's pretty neat. It works. I turned the switch off, even though this is all the way down, I can still hear and feel the motor humming. So that's still letting through power, even though this is all the way down. So apparently that's like, the lowest setting isn't technically off, so you can't get away with just using this as the off switch. The lowest setting is like too low a power for that thing to move, but like, it's not technically off. So I think I'm better off just leaving it maxed. In that case, I didn't even need a dimmer switch. That's what I'm saying. I might not use this for this, but I do want variableness, because depending on the type of blade you're using and what material you're cutting, sometimes a different speed is necessary to cut. So yeah, that's why I did this and not just a regular switch, because I have regular switches that would hold up just fine. But yeah. See what I mean? Works though. Well, that's all. I'm gonna try it and reverse the blade and try it again. And like, it made that much with, that's just me being patient and doing it. It did that much of a cut. If I was patient enough and didn't want to fool with the jigsaw, or if I had thinner like plastic or something, because I do plastic stuff too, and other thin stuff as well. Like, right in its current configuration, it probably has still quite a bit of uses in its current way. But like, yeah, I'm gonna try it with the blade reversed and see if it can do stuff like, because I do have a lot of this that I want. I have designs and stuff I want to do with this wood. This is just a piece that's kind of broke off, and I'm just trying to get rid of that fucked up end there. But this is just really just a scrap. It's not even that long, but I might use it eventually for something. But yeah, so I want it to be a little more useful for this stuff, but even if I get lazy and don't want to upgrade or work on it anytime soon, it's still useful for other things. That's all. Like, subscribe, let me know what you think.